In a shameless move to show who was in charge, the woman ripped her own dress, threw herself on the floor, and started crying to frame her rival in front of the man they both loved. It was a nasty betrayal, but for the bodyguard Ran Qing, it was just the latest way the man she served had hurt her. By day, she was Xiao Mohan's protector, but by night, she was his secret lover. Their relationship was a roller coaster of passion and control, and just the night before, he had furiously punished her for dancing with another man. She explained that she had to get close to the man because he tried to poison her, and it was the only way to stop him. Believing her, he had taken her in his arms, and they had spent the night together. But in the morning, the passion was gone. He coldly announced that his first love, Xia Zhihe, was back, and he planned to marry her to make his family happy. He told Ruan Qing that their night together was their last one. Now, at the fancy party to welcome Zhihe home, Ruan Qing watched as Mohan kissed her in front of everyone. The woman then walked up to Ruan Qing, making fun of her for being a lowly bodyguard who had slept her way into her boss's bed. Ruan Qing shot back, reminding Zhihe that she was the one who had left Mohan when he was crippled, only coming back now that he was powerful again. Furious, Zhihe faked a fall. When Mohan rushed over, he immediately took Zhihe's side. Zhihe had tearfully lied that Ruan Qing had attacked her and that her parents were forcing her to marry a cruel old man who had already buried 6 wives. She claimed marrying Mohan was her only way out. Ruan Qing tried to explain it was a setup, but Mohan wouldn't listen. He held his crying ex-lover and announced that Zhihe was the future lady of the house, while Ruan Qing was just a bodyguard. Mohan turned to his loyal protector and ordered her to apologize. When Ruan Qing refused because she hadn't done anything wrong, he got even angrier. He commanded her to kneel, his voice like ice. As everyone watched, Ruan Qing slowly sank to her knees. Mohan told her she had to kneel there until the next morning, then heartlessly scooped his crying lover into his arms and carried her away, leaving Ruan Qing kneeling alone and completely humiliated in the middle of the big hall. After being accused of freezing her rival's cat to death, the bodyguard was brutally thrown into a pool of ice water by the man she loved. Her rival Zhihe had faked the cat's death, crying to Mohan that Ruan Qing had killed the precious gift he had given her. Even though Ruan Qing insisted she was innocent and that the security cameras would prove it, Mohan slapped her across the face. He called his men and ordered them to throw her into the pool so she could feel the same freezing cold as the dead cat. As his men dragged her away, he coldly warned her that if she dared to fight back, her punishment would be a lot worse than just a swim in ice water. This was just the latest cruel thing he'd done to her. The night before, she had been forced to kneel on the floor of the empty hall until morning, all because of a fight Zhihe had started. The next day, Mohan's assistant, Chen Yan, finally came and told her she could get up, leaving medicine for her scraped knees. But the gesture meant nothing when she got a text from Mohan himself, telling her he had to explain things to his fiancée and that she should remember to use the medicine. Reading his cold words, she smiled through her tears, realizing he had known she was innocent the whole time. She finally had enough, so she went to the head of the family, Mohan's grandfather, and told him she wanted to leave. He reminded her that he'd found her when she was 3 and that she was the person he trusted most. But her mind was made up. Her job to protect Mohan was done now that he was the head of the family. The old man finally agreed, but on one condition. She could leave only after she found a way to cure the leg injury Mohan still had. Determined to win her freedom, when she arrived at Mohan's villa to pick them up, Zhihe was there and immediately accused her of using it as an excuse to see Mohan. Just then, Mohan showed up. He was furious as she had come back but hadn't come to see him first. He ignored her when she tried to explain and just gave her a new punishment. From now on, she was to be Zhihe's personal bodyguard, protecting her 24/7, where Zhihe ordered her to find her lost cat, only to frame her for killing it. Now, as Ruan Qing struggled in the freezing pool, Mohan watched her on a monitor. His assistant asked why he wouldn't even give her a chance to prove she was innocent. Mohan replied that she was too proud, just like a stray cat he once had. He explained that he had treated it well, but it still ran away. He declared that he had to break Ruan Qing's pride so she would learn to be obedient and stay by his side forever. After being in a coma for days from the cold, Ruan Qing woke up in the hospital, but her first thought wasn't about herself. It was about her promise to meet the master doctor who could cure Mohan's leg. She had to crawl out of bed, but she was determined to go. His assistant Chen Yan tried to stop her, asking if she was really willing to risk her life for a man who treated her so badly. She replied that she was doing this for herself. Meanwhile, Mohan was at home, enjoying what he thought was a surprise from his fiancée. The master doctor Qin arrived at his door and Mohan just figured it was Zhihe who had set up the visit. The doctor checked his leg and promised he'd be completely better after one last treatment the next day. As the doctor was leaving, he mentioned the girl who had begged him to come, telling Mohan he must treat her well because she truly loved him. Believing the doctor was talking about Zhihe, Mohan promised he would. But Zhihe, who overheard them, knew the truth. To get her freedom, Ruan Qing also hired a private detective to find information about her parents who she'd lost long ago. Following this lead, she called the number, but it was all a trap. Just as he lunged for Zhihe, Mohan burst in. Zhihe immediately cried that Ruan Qing had set her up to be attacked. Wang, who was in on the whole thing, backed up her story, claiming Ranqing was getting revenge because Zhihe's wedding was called off. Faced with two liars, Mohan looked at the two women. Wang then gave him a choice. Leave one of them behind for him. Without hesitating, Mohan threw his jacket around Zhihe and carried her out, leaving Ranqing behind. He announced that she was all Wang's as he walked away, abandoning his loyal bodyguard to a room full of thugs. He slammed the man's head onto the table, pressing the jagged edge of a broken bottle to his neck and demanding to know what happened that night. Just hours earlier, he had been at the hospital when his assistant burst in with shocking news. The woman named Ranqing had jumped from a hotel and was dead. He had refused to believe it, convinced she was just throwing a tantrum because he had chosen to stay with another woman, Zhihe. He stormed out and confronted his grandfather, who confirmed her death. Furious, he defended his choice, yelling that Zhihe was the one who had sacrificed everything for him, even finding the legendary Dr. Qin to heal his leg. But he didn't know that he had been living a complete lie. His grandfather showed him a photo that shattered his world. It was Ranqing, kneeling in the pouring rain, bowing her head to the ground until it bled, begging Dr. Qin to save him. Only then did he realize the woman who had sacrificed everything was the one he had abandoned. Desperate, he raced to the doctor's villa. He showed him a photo of Zhihe, but the doctor immediately said that wasn't her. But when he showed a picture of Ranqing, the old man confirmed she was the one who had knelt for a day and a night, refusing to leave until he agreed to help. The truth finally crashed down on him. The woman he had wronged was the one who had truly saved him. He stormed into the private room, grabbed the terrified man by the throat, and screamed for information about what happened to her. He growled, pressing the jagged bottle deeper into the man's neck, and warned him not to make him ask a third time what had happened to her that night. The man insisted he hadn't done anything, claiming her bodyguard was so tough he never even got close before she jumped. He said she hadn't been feeling well, that she was weak and shaky on her feet. Those words hit him like a punch to the gut. He remembered that day at the party when she was shoved into the pool, but he had turned his back on her, choosing to save the other woman instead. He remembered her kneeling in the pouring rain, begging for him, and a huge wave of guilt washed over him. Suddenly, he understood. His cruelty was what had made her so weak. He was the one who had killed her. But what he didn't know was that at that very moment, Ranqing's eyes fluttered open in a hospital room. A man stood over her. He introduced himself as Young Lin, a police captain. He had found a note she had written with his name on it. He told her he had been looking for her for a very long time. Meanwhile, the news of her death had spread. His assistant warned him that his grandfather was furious and his spot as the family heir was in danger because he was wasting so much money and manpower trying to find a dead bodyguard. He was obsessed, refusing to believe she was gone. He snarled, asking who let her come up here. She claimed she was just worried, reminding him that she would always be by his side. But he violently pulled his hand away and walked out, leaving her staring after him, her face twisting with jealousy. Meanwhile, at a quiet cemetery, Jianglin pushed Ranqing's wheelchair toward two unmarked graves. He told her the story of her parents, who were undercover agents that had died as heroes. Their target was a drug cartel, and the info they had was key to the big raid that finally took the cartel down. But they never made it out. They were heroes, but to protect her, their identities had to be erased. He told her he would help her find a place to stay, a small, safe apartment right across from his. Later, as he showed her the apartment, he explained that it was his duty to look after her, since she was the daughter of heroes who died for their country. She looked around the sunlit room, a flicker of hope in her eyes, finally feeling a sense of safety she hadn't felt in years. He grabbed the woman by the shoulders, his eyes burning with anger, and demanded she tell him everything. It turned out the man had been desperately searching for a woman named Ranqing, refusing to believe she was really dead. An investigation had just confirmed his worst fear. The body sent to be cremated wasn't hers, but a stranger who had died of cancer. He was furious that she had cooked up such a big lie, fooling everyone just to get away from him. But Ranqing was just trying to live a quiet life. As she waited for her friend outside a supermarket, she saw a large sign begin to fall from a worker's ladder, right where a small child was standing. Without a second thought, she lunged forward and pushed the boy to safety, taking the full force of the falling sign on her shoulder. She was thrown to the ground, bleeding and in pain. Her friend rushed back to her side, furious that she would risk her own life so carelessly. Forced her into his car to go to the hospital, and you could tell by how intense he was that he really cared about her. At the hospital, a doctor cleaned her wound, but when she had to leave for an emergency, her friend walked in. As Ranqing adjusted her clothes, he saw something shocking. The new injury revealed that her back was covered in old, faded scars, proof of a brutal past. Her kind friend had just given her some books and things for school, hoping she could start a new life. But the moment she stepped into her apartment, she was ambushed. He had found her. He slammed her against the wall, his face inches from hers, his voice low and dangerous. He seethed, saying she was getting brave, and asked why she'd even bother running if she was so scared of him. She struggled, telling him to let her go, but he wouldn't. He told her he already knew everything, that he had taken care of the man who had bothered her and that she should be happy about it. He demanded she come back with him, but she refused, shouting that she was no longer his bodyguard. When she brought up his grandfather's power over him, he lost control. He snarled that from the very first day she had belonged only to him. He accused her of being jealous of his new fiancé, but she shot back that bodyguards don't get jealous. In a fit of rage, he grabbed her, his fingers digging into her chin, but as he did, he ripped her collar, revealing the fresh, bloody wound on her shoulder. His anger instantly disappeared and turned into shock. He realized she was hurt, and his whole attitude changed. His voice got softer as he told her to come with him so he could take care of her wound.